Welcome to Tophyped. I'm your host, and man, have I got a wild one for you today. We're talking about the most dangerous women in history. We're diving deep into the lives of these women who said, "Screw the rules," and carved their own bloody path. Get ready for some insane stories because we're about to uncover the truth behind these powerful and deadly women. From cartel queens to cold-blooded killers, we're talking about women who ruled through fear and intimidation. These aren't your everyday criminals. We're talking about ruthless masterminds, women who took on the world and won, even if it meant bending it to their will. So buckle up, folks, because you're in for a wild ride. We're about to expose the lives of some of the most ruthless and dangerous women to ever walk the earth. And trust me, you do not want to miss this. First up, we're heading straight into the heart of the cartel world. Forget what you think you know about kingpins and drug lords because this woman, she was the real deal. We're talking about a woman who rose through the ranks of a brutal, male-dominated cartel and came out on top. Imagine the guts, the strategy, the sheer force of will it took to command that kind of respect and fear. This wasn't some small-time operation either. We're talking about a global network, moving tons of drugs and generating insane amounts of money. And this woman, she was the brains behind it all. She had to be ruthless, calculating, and always 10 steps ahead of everyone else. Think about the pressure, man, the constant threat of betrayal, law enforcement breathing down your neck, rival cartels gunning for your territory. But she handled it all, building an empire from the ground up. It's a testament to her intelligence, her resilience, and honestly, her terrifying capability for violence. And the craziest part? She did it all while navigating the deeply ingrained sexism of the cartel world. Talk about defying the odds. This woman was a force of nature, a true queen in a world of pawns. She demanded respect and she got it, often through brutal and unforgiving means. But it wasn't just about power and money for her. There was a dark side, a brutality that came with the territory. She was responsible for ordering hits, kidnappings, unimaginable violence. It's a reminder that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and in this world, survival often meant sacrificing your soul. Her story is a wild cocktail of ambition, betrayal, and bloodshed. It's a dark and twisted fairy tale that proves that sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones you least expect. Now this is a real head-scratcher. We're talking about a young girl, barely a teenager, who managed to instill fear in the hearts of an entire nation. Think about that for a second. How powerful, how cunning, how utterly terrifying do you have to be to achieve that? This wasn't some petty schoolyard drama. This girl was involved in some seriously shady stuff. We're talking about activities that shook the very foundations of Chinese society, and the craziest part is, she was just a kid. Now I'm not talking about your typical teenage rebellion here. This girl was operating on a whole other level. She was manipulating people, exploiting loopholes, pulling strings that most adults wouldn't even know existed. Imagine being her parents, man. One minute you're dealing with homework and curfews, the next, your kid is making headlines as a national security threat. Talk about a parenting nightmare. But what's even more fascinating is the psychological aspect of it all. How does a child, someone so young and supposedly innocent, develop the capacity for such calculated manipulation? It's a question that baffles experts to this day. Some say she was a sociopath, born without a moral compass. Others claim she was a product of her environment, a victim of circumstance. Let's be honest, history loves a good scandal, especially when it involves the rich and powerful. And this story has it all: wealth, privilege, betrayal, and murder. We're diving into the scandalous life of the most reckless aristocrat you've ever heard of. She wasn't just born with a silver spoon, she was bathed in diamonds. We're talking about old money, the kind of wealth most people dream of. But money can't buy happiness, or a conscience. She lived life on the edge. Parties, gambling, affairs. She indulged in it all with reckless abandon. But her wild lifestyle was just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the glamour lurked a dark secret, a thirst for something far more sinister. She had a taste for danger and wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. Not petty theft or a catfight gone wrong. We're talking about cold-blooded murder, the kind that makes headlines. She used her wealth and status like a weapon, always staying one step ahead of the law. Like a real-life Lady Macbeth, charming and cunning, with a heart as cold as ice. What drove her to such extremes? Boredom, a thirst for power, or something darker? These questions have kept historians and conspiracy theorists busy for decades. Some say she was driven mad by her own privilege, unable to comprehend the consequences of her actions. Now this next story, it'll chill you to the bone. We're talking about a woman who took an oath to heal, to care for the sick and vulnerable, but instead, she betrayed that trust in the most horrific way imaginable. Get ready to meet the Angel of Death, a nurse whose bedside manner was a one-way ticket to the morgue. Imagine this. You're lying in a hospital bed feeling vulnerable, scared, putting your life in the hands of the medical staff. You expect compassion, care, a fighting chance at recovery, but for the patience of this nurse, that trust was met with a syringe full of something far more sinister. This wasn't some rogue act of mercy, no twisted attempt at easing suffering. This was calculated, cold-blooded murder, driven by a twisted sense of power and control. This nurse, she played God, deciding who lived and who died, and she seemed to relish in the power it gave her. The truly disturbing part? She got away with it for years. Think about that. Years of slipping under the radar, manipulating records, silencing suspicions. It's enough to make you question every hospital visit, every interaction with medical staff. What's even more unsettling is that she didn't fit the profile of a cold-blooded killer. She was described as quiet, unassuming, even charming by her colleagues. It just goes to show that evil can wear many faces, and sometimes the most dangerous predators are hiding in plain sight, but her story gets even more disturbing when you delve into her methods. Now, when you think of drug lords, one name probably comes to mind: Pablo Escobar. The man was a legend, a ruthless businessman who built a cocaine empire that stretched across continents. But what if I told you there was a woman, equally ambitious, equally ruthless, who built a similar empire of her own? This woman, she wasn't content with just being a kingpin's wife or girlfriend. She wanted it all: the power, the money, the respect, and she was willing to do whatever it took to get it, even if it meant going toe-to-toe with the biggest players in the game. Her story is like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and violence, set against the backdrop of the high-stakes drug trade. She was a master strategist, a charismatic leader who commanded loyalty and instilled fear in equal measure. She rose through the ranks of the cartel world with an almost effortless grace, outmaneuvering rivals, forging alliances, and building a distribution network that spanned continents. She was a force of nature, a woman who defied expectations and shattered glass ceilings with every move she made. But her story wasn't all glitz and glamour. Just like Escobar, she had a dark side, a brutality that was as much a part of her success as her business acumen. She was responsible for ordering hits, kidnappings, and countless acts of violence that left a trail of blood in her wake. What's fascinating about her story is how she navigated the male-dominated world of drug trafficking. She used her femininity to her advantage, disarming enemies with her charm before ruthlessly exploiting their weaknesses. She was a master manipulator, a woman who understood the art of seduction and the power of fear. But just like Escobar, her reign of power couldn't last forever. Now this last story, this is one for the books. Forget everything you think you know about grandmas, because this woman, she was anything but your typical sweet old lady. This is the story of the grandma gangsta, a woman who proved that age is just a number and that some people, well, they're just born to be bad. Imagine this, you're picturing your grandma, right? Baking cookies, knitting sweaters, maybe chasing you around with a wooden spoon. Now imagine that grandma running a smuggling ring, pulling off heists and outsmarting the cops. Yeah, that's the kind of grandma we're dealing with here. This woman, she had been involved in criminal activities since she was a teenager. Petty theft, running scams, you name it, she'd done it. But as she got older, she didn't slow down, she leveled up. This grandma, she was like the Benjamin Button of crime. Her specialty? Heists. Not just any heists, though. We're talking about elaborate, meticulously planned operations that would make Danny Ocean jealous. Jewelry stores, art galleries, even a casino, nothing was off limits for this grandma. And the best part? She used her age as her secret weapon. Who would suspect a sweet old lady with a walker? She'd stroll into a bank, flash a smile at the teller, and walk out with a bag full of cash before anyone knew what hit them. But don't let the wrinkles fool you. This grandma was sharp as a tack. She had a knack for spotting vulnerabilities, for exploiting weaknesses, and for staying one step ahead of the law. She was like a criminal mastermind in a rocking chair, and she was always 2 steps ahead. Her story is a testament to the fact that age is just a number. Well, there you have it, folks. Some of the most dangerous women in history. These women were ruthless, cunning, and utterly fearless. They left their mark on the world, proving that power knows no gender and that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one you least expect. Thank you for watching Tophyped. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible, amazing, unusual, interesting, and informative facts in the world. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next upload. Stay tuned for our next episode where we dive into more fascinating topics. We've got some seriously mind-blowing stuff lined up, so you do not want to miss it. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay Tophyped.